Hey, so I'm back. Part 2 with why I know that I was a member of a cult. Hashtag JW, hashtag Watchtower. Okay, let's get into it. Last thing I said, I mentioned how you just can never be enough. You can never do enough, right? If you're not exceptional, if you're not exemplary in the congregation, you're just not enough. And you need to do better. Do better. Do better, do better, do better, do better, do better, do better, do better. In fact, you turn in like this record of what you're doing. And if you miss meetings, they're coming for you. What's up? What's going on? Like, you can't spiritually grow, whatever. You got to be exemplary. You have to be exceptional. Point blank, period. Okay. So I want to get into this next bullet point, which is a huge problem for me, and it's definitely a trait of a culture. Okay. I'm of a cult. I said culture, but cult. Okay, it's getting late. It is late. I'm getting tired, so bear with me. All right. So my last bullet point for now is the group leader is the exclusive means of knowing truth or receiving validation. No other process of discovery is really acceptable or credible, right? So we all the Spirit of God resides within, right? And each and every one of us have, perceptive powers, right? We have intuition, we have the Spirit, right? It's within all of us, and we're inspired. We have certain insights and things of that nature. Well, the faithful and discreet slave, they got that phrase from a parable that Jesus used in Matthew, the 24th chapter, the 25th chapter, verse 45, 44, and 45. It's a parable. But that's who they refer to themselves as, a faithful and discreet slave that has been entrusted to govern the Worldwide Association of Jehovah's Witnesses. And they do that from New York. So if you're not part of their little gang, right? Their little group who are anointed to reign with Jesus in heaven over the earth, over the peons, right? If you're not in that group, you have no right coming to them and telling them what your little insights are. That's a no-no. And you can get kicked out of the organization, which means your whole entire life is flipped upside down. Your family is not going to talk to you. They're going to treat you like you're dead. And some have even said that. For example, one of my son's friends, they kind of grew up together. We're all Jehovah's Witnesses, right? And the young man got a little older, got into a little, little trouble based on the teachings of based on the dogma of Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Got into a little trouble. And I will say, let's be honest, it was a biblical scriptural transgression. Okay, mosquitoes tearing me up, y'all. But anyway, yeah, so he got expelled. He got disfellowship. He got kicked out of the organization. Okay, they say it's a loving arrangement, but here's what is definitely disturbing. I asked his mother, how was he doing? Because that's who I am. Like, he was like a son to me, right? I asked him, how was he doing? She said, I don't know. He's dead to me. And then when he came back, because of course, this is his family, and he knows the drill. He knows how it goes down. So he came back. He was reinstated back into the organization. Now she's like so happy. She loves her son and all this stuff. But anyway, I lost total respect for her when she said that her son was dead to her because he was disfellowship, which is supposed to be a loving arrangement, by the way. It is to help them come back, but he's dead to you. Make it make sense. That is definitely indicative of a cult member. Some of these practices I'm very embarrassed to say that I engaged in, like, shunning certain individuals. Some of them accepted the shunning because that was part of we thought was the part of the discipline. But there were just things that went beyond that I just could not do. I myself at one point was disfellowshipping and I got reinstated, right? I never disassociated myself from the organization. I just faded away. I just stopped participating. But at one point I was disfellowshipped and I was reinstated into the organization. A couple of my kids, same thing. My adult children. I never shunned my children, ever. Now, as far as the dynamic of, and a whole lot of association, my children kind of understood how that went. So they didn't even allow me to like really associate with them because their intention was to come back into the organization anyway. So the relationship, I still love my children. It just wasn't the same, unfortunately, right? Now my children, none of my adult children, I have 3, are participating in the organization, and none of them have been excommunicated or disfellowshipped or anything. They just like me on their own. We kind of all went through the spiritual awakening around the same time, which I think is definitely beautiful, a beautiful thing, and where we woke up all in our own bubble, in our own, household, whatever. Because like I said, my children are all adults, woke up around the same time, and that was truly a blessing to me. Okay, because I was kind of a little worried. My children basically was my world, right? Is my world. So to lose, that relationship with my kids because I walk away from a religion was a concern for me. But that is what's expected. There is no honor for the family unit. You are expected to drop your family members like a hot potato if they leave the organization. Now they have sort of lightened the rules a little bit where you can talk to them if they are malleable, if they're kind of willing to listen, right? Receptive to the message, right? Even though they're out there, even disfellowship ones, if they, kind of still in this soft mode, you can talk to them. We can't associate with them, right? And so it's definitely when you're in it, you don't see it. I was there for 30 something years. There were certain practices and policies and protocols that bothered me. And there was a time when I even said I was done with the organization, but I stayed because they linked the organization with Jehovah. And at the time, Jehovah was my world. I loved Jehovah based on what I learned from their teachings about Jehovah. Certain things I didn't understand, but I always put that on the back burner. I didn't dwell on it. You were discouraged from doing that and not trusting your thoughts and not trusting your heart, because they say in the Bible that, and they beat this into your head, saying that your heart is treacherous and who could know it. So do not trust it and don't trust your thinking. That type of mind control, manipulation is very, very entrenched into the fabric of the teachings of this organization. And it's entrenched in the recesses, deeply into the hearts and minds of Jehovah's Witnesses. And if that's all you know, it's hard to walk away, because you walking away means you walking away from your family. That's a cult. I want to get into using discernment and powers of perception. Check me out in the next video. We're going to be using scriptures only because I know that these are the techniques that they use to check me out in the next video.